Push record so people can see it. Let's see who's coming in. Oh, Jonathan. Okay, so I'm going to take C. C is going to equal 2 divided by 2 squared. So what's 2 divided by 2? Yes, Alex. Good. Anybody other than Alex and Ketlin going to answer? What?
We get extra points. We go answer. Yeah.
I know. Extra points are beast bucks. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 1 squared is, Ketlin, what's 1 squared? One times 1, Ketlin.
Oh, 1. I was like, who called me?
The only person in this room that talks. Me. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys do the next 4. I'm just going to give you like 2. Ready? So I'm going to look at the middle number. I'm going to take the middle number. To find C, I'm going to take the middle number, which is 16. Okay? So C is going to equal negative 16, and then I'm going to divide it by 2. I do this the same thing every time. I take that middle number, the number with the variable to the first power, and then I divide it by 2 and I square it. So same thing I'm doing every single time. I've done it every single time. Take that middle number, I divide by 2 and I square it. So negative 16. Negative 16 divided by 2 is what?
Negative 8.
Negative 8. And then I take negative 8 and I square it. Negative 8 times negative 8 is?
Positive 64.
Positive 64. Okay? So which part is the problem for you guys that's having difficulty with that? Finding the middle number, dividing it by 2, or squaring it? Because that's all we're doing. I'm finding that middle number, right? There's 3 numbers. 1, 2, 3. I'm taking that middle term when it's in order, that middle term. I'm dividing it by 2, and then I'm squaring it. That's all we're doing right now. So I'm going to take that middle term, which in this case is negative 38. So C is going to equal negative 38 divided by 2. And then I'm going to square it. So, negative 38 divided by 2, negative 19, I think. You might have to get your calculator out. And then I'm going to square that, and Alex had the answer. There it is, 361. Okay? CLA, is that okay? Does that make a little better sense? Okay.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So can you guys do the last 2 then in just a second? Like if I give you a minute, can you do the last 2 and put the answers in the chat for me?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and put those in the chat for me. We're going to just do this right here. No, okay, that's it. Okay, so C is going to equal negative 4 divided by 2 squared. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. And then I square that and I get 4. And then the last one's just a little harder, just because it's bigger, right? Yeah, nice, Zoe, very good. And then C is going to equal 32 divided by 2. And then I'm going to square it. So I get 16 squared is 256. So if I have a quadratic, which is a squared, right? The squared is my first term, and then my second term, and then I need to find my third term. That's what I do. I take it, that middle term, divide it by 2, and square it. Sometimes it gets ugly, you guys. I've only given you even numbers. So sometimes if it's an odd number, I'll get a fraction. So just be aware that that is a possibility that you can get a fraction. But we're not going to do any of those. I'm going to try for us not to do. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to try for us not to do any of those, but sometimes I mess up. So, okay, let's go on to, now that we know how to find that middle number, go on to the rest, right? So, so now we want to, oh, this was not what I wanted to do. Okay, we'll do this and then I'll take 2 seconds and find what we needed to, this is doing exactly what we just got done doing. So I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to make it smaller. I want you to go 1 second because they do want us to find the term that goes on the line, right? So I'm going to make this bigger. So like what we did on the other page, right? But there's one step further they want us to go. So I'm going to say C, I'm going to look at the 12 again, right? So C is going to equal 12 divided by 2 squared, which is 6 squared or 36. And then they want me to write it as a perfect trinomial. So that's when I'm going to write as x plus, and then it's whatever number this is. Whatever number I'm squaring goes in here. Plus 6 squared. And that's the two parts. So they want this part, and they want this second part. So I'll do it one more time. And we're only going to answer a few of these because we actually need to. This is actually going to help us. Actually, this is good. This was a good mistake, I guess. So my next one, right, I'm going to look at this -10, right? So C is going to equal -10 divided by 2. Square it. Oh, -10 divided by 2. -5. And -5 squared. So I do want to talk about this just for a second. If you're going to use your calculator to square stuff, please make sure if it's negative, you put that negative inside parentheses, just like I have right here. Notice on this one, it was positive. I didn't put the 6 inside parentheses. But on this one, it was a -5, and I put the -5 inside parentheses and then put the square on the outside. Because what happens is if you put it into the calculator like this, -5 squared, the only thing they're going to square is the 5 and not the negative. So your answer would be, on this one, -25, because the only thing they're squaring is the 5. The calculator squares what it's touching, and what it's touching in this is the 5. What it's touching here, because the negative is inside of parentheses, it's touching the negative and the 5, so it'll square both of them, which is the correct answer. So if you're inputting it into your calculator and you have a negative and you're squaring it, make sure that negative number is inside parentheses and the square is on the outside of the parentheses. Okay, so this is positive 25. I keep touching the wrong button. Sorry about that. Positive 25. And then I need to rewrite that as, it says as a perfect square, right? So I'm going to rewrite this as x. And then I'm going to use the number that I'm squaring. Whatever number I'm squaring is going inside my parenthesis. So it's x minus 5 squared. Or it's whatever half of the middle number is. You can think of it that way too. Whatever half the middle number is goes there. Okay? Any questions so far?
No.
No? Does that mean you can do 11 and 12 then?
Maybe.
Okay, do 11 and... So let's go ahead. I'm going to look at the 42. And I'm going to go C equals 42 divided by 2. And 42 divided by 2 is 21. And then I'm going to square 21. And I think that is 441. So what goes on the line is 441. And then it needs me to write it as a perfect square. So that means I'm going to write x plus 21. Because if I was to draw a picture, remember if I was to draw a picture, ooh, that's really ugly. I would make sure it's balanced. I draw a picture of a square. That means there would be 21 x's on one side and 21 on the other side. So this would be x plus 21 and x plus 21. Do you like my 21 little lines there? That was pretty bad. So for the next one, we're taking 34 and we're doing the same thing to it. So C is going to equal 34 divided by 2 squared. So 34 divided by 2 is 17. And then I'm going to square 17. And I've got 17 times 17 is 289. And so I've got sorry, I have not been using the correct letters while I've been doing this. Sorry about that. A plus 17 squared. I don't know if that's confused you because this should have probably been R and just choosing the wrong the letters. A plus 17 squared, okay? All right, so we're gonna stop this for just a second.